I never knew what other people might believe, because she'd said that she'd told people that I was abusing her. She used to shout things out of the window. She'd say that she'd told her friends that I was hurting her, and she'd sent pictures of bruises on her wrists and things to her friends. So at that point then, I thought, well, I'll gather my own evidence then to show that it's not her that's been abused, it's me that's been abused. I'm Richard Spencer, and I'm a survivor of female domestic abuse. The first time I met Sheree, it was on a night out in Leeds. We were in a nightclub, and I'd seen her across the dance floor, and the first thing that struck me, I guess, was that she was attractive. She wore nice clothes, and she looked really confident and happy. She was dancing away on the dance floor, and the bar had shut. We couldn't get any drinks anymore because it was quite late in the evening. But Sheree said that she knew someone could get some drinks, and so we went over to the bar, and she knew some people working behind the bar, and she managed to get some drinks. And my friends all thought it was, fantastic that I'd met this girl, and she could get drinks when the bar had shut. And then we agreed that we were going to go on a date, and we made plans then I think we went to the cinema, and that was the first date we went on, and things progressed from there really. I think things probably got more serious when I'd got my job at BT, and I needed to move away, so I was moving away quite far away down to Ipswich. So I'd got myself a flat down in Ipswich, and she came down to join me after a few months after I'd moved in, when her university degree finished. The first time that things got violent, as I remember, we'd been for a night out, we'd had a nice time with our friends, but on the way back something had happened which Sheree wasn't happy about. And then when we got back to the flat where we were living at the time, she was quite angry, and I remember her throwing a vase onto the floor and the vase breaking, and then she kind of pushed me and slapped me and just was like quite aggressive in a tone of voice and the way she was speaking to me. The next day she apologised and put it down to having too much to drink, and said that it wouldn't happen again, and told me how much she loved me. And that kind of pattern went on for quite a while. Incidents would happen, and then the next day she would apologise and say it'll never happen again. And she would seem genuine. She would write notes sometimes, or buy me cards and write nice little cards saying how sorry she was and saying she loves me and it won't happen again. But inevitably, unfortunately, yeah, it did. Incidents didn't stop, and it did happen again. I always felt like that there was a reason why Sheree behaved the way she did. So at some point I thought, well, maybe it's because we weren't engaged yet, because she'd said quite a few times, we've been together for a long time and we're not engaged. So that was a point of contention. So I thought, well, if we get engaged, then she might be happy, and the incidents of abuse might stop. But we got engaged, and then that didn't happen. Things just went back to normal. And the next thing was actually getting married. My wedding day wasn't the best, so I imagine most people have good memories of the wedding day. So to start with, there were no family or friends there. Sheree and I had chosen to get married in Thailand, and we actually didn't tell anyone about it. So it's a strange situation, probably comes a lot to do with the coercive and controlling behaviour side of the relationship. Sheree started drinking quite early in the morning, and then by the afternoon, she was quite drunk. The wedding was on the beach, which sounds, should have been amazing. It's like a paradise for the island and where we were. But it wasn't a happy occasion. She was still probably under the influence of alcohol when we actually we're getting married. And I think if you see from the wedding photos that things don't look right. The next stage that came along then was wanting children. So Sheree had always said that she wanted to have a big family. So we agreed that we were going to try for a baby. And during the pregnancy, that was probably one of the best times when she was pregnant, because she wasn't drinking and there was hope around a new baby coming. But unfortunately, quite shortly after, when our first baby was born, and then our future children, she'd resort back to, after a short period of time, of the anger and the incidents of violence. So the abuse manifested in lots of different ways. So from a physical abuse side of things, initially it was things like slapping and pushing and shoving, and then that gradually increased over time, so it could be punching or kicking. Some of the injuries to my face in particular meant that I couldn't really leave the house without risking that people would be able to see that I had these visible injuries. So I would apply makeup so that some of the injuries weren't visible. I sustained a number of different injuries towards the end of the relationship. The injuries, were more damaging. So in one incident, when she'd hit me over the head or on the side of the head with a wine bottle, and it caused like a cauliflower ear. She didn't want me to go to hospital because it would have been quite obvious, particularly with it being during lockdown, that it was an incident which had happened at home. So I'd make up an excuse and say that I was playing a racquetball game, and that someone had hit me on my ear with the racket in the garden. In terms of the sort of emotional and more demoralising things that happened, there'd be incidents where she would like break a box of eggs, for example. So she would throw some of the eggs on the wall and then some on the floor, and then put some of them, break them on my head. And I could spend, hours on an evening having to clear up all the egg that's, got over the kitchen. I never knew what other people might believe, because she'd said that she'd told people that I was abusing her. She used to shout things out of the window. She'd say that she'd told her friends that I was hurting her, and she'd sent pictures of bruises on her wrists and things to her friends. So at that point then, I thought, well, I'll gather my own evidence then to show that it's not her that's been abused, it's me that's been abused. So I never opened up about the abuse to anyone until I spoke about it to my next door neighbour. There was a barbecue going on next door. Sheree didn't want to go, she'd had a few drinks, and I was going to take the kids. So we went across and we spent the day there. And later on in the day, when it was getting a little bit towards bedtime, Sheree had, out of the ordinary, had shouted over the fence in a really aggressive way, telling me to get the kids back. I'd taken the kids back to the house and put them to bed, and then I'd gone back round to the barbecue. And while we were sat there, I opened up to my neighbours a little bit and told them about some of the things that happened. So I said, yeah, she does drink a lot, and she can be quite abusive and gets angry and shouts a lot. But at that point, I hadn't said anything about any kind of physical abuse. So a couple of weeks later, Sheree had got drunk again, and she'd phoned up my friend, my best friend, and said that we were arguing and it was my fault. So he came down, and first of all he spoke to Sheree, and Sheree sort of blamed me and said that I was the one that was drinking too much, and that I was the one who was causing the arguments. And then my friend said that he wanted to speak to me alone, and then we went for a walk outside, and he noticed that I had a bruise on my face and asked me how I'd got it. And by that point, I'd just kind of given up. I couldn't give any more lies. At that point, I was just honest and told him that she'd done it. And he asked me, has it happened before? And I said, yeah. And I said it happened, lots of times. And but I said, I don't want you to tell him about it. Even then I said, look, please don't tell anyone about it. So he went away. And when he went away, I thought about it afterwards, and even then I thought, oh, I wonder if I could be overacting, because I didn't really trust my own decision making. So what I thought I'd do is I'd send him a couple of videos of incidents that had happened, so that he could look at the things that happened and tell me if I was doing the right thing. When I'd sent him the videos, he'd give me a call and said, look, you're definitely not overreacting. And he said he'd been quite badly affected by the videos that he'd seen. He said to me, look, I might have to do something that you might not agree with, but over time I hope that you'll forgive me. He sent the videos to the safeguarding authority in our local area, and then I was contacted by them quite quickly afterwards. and told that because of what they'd seen in the videos that they needed to tell the police. So later on that evening there was a knock at the door once I'd put the kids to bed, and it was the police who'd come to arrest Sheree and take her away. When they showed her the footage and showed the videos of things that she'd done, there was very little reaction. She didn't show any remorse. She was just very defensive of the things that she'd done. So I realised then that this idea I had that of her being this really kind, caring person with like a dark side that would come out every now and then, it was almost probably the opposite, that she was quite an unkind, caring person, and that actually it was more of a facade that she would put up, that she would portray herself as being this kind person. So since she was arrested and subsequently went to prison, my life obviously is completely different now, and the children's life is completely different. So I've been lucky enough to meet a new partner who's the complete opposite of Sheree in every way possible. And the children are just the happiest they've ever been. Every day they've grown confidence, every day they make me laugh. And I could see that, they just, every day they get happier and more confident, and their lives, couldn't be any better. I would say that to any men out there that experience domestic abuse, that they should, reach out and try and get support. There is support available. You can get the help you need and start living the life that you deserve.
Are you happy now?
Yes, I would say I'm definitely happy now with my new life.